Messed that up. Oh, wow. Hey, I wasn't expecting to see you guys here. I know what you're here for. You're here for Kev's Weekly Pool. I got something for you. I'm just wrapping up some of these comic books, but I know exactly what it is you want. Don't worry, I got you.
If you ever hit writer's block, just write anything. Doesn't matter. Write a laundry list. So there was a bar in Boston called Deluxe, and I
Wicked and the Divine. Would have been like number 13.
and there was a Star Wars was playing in the background, and Death Star blows up, so I'm thinking, like, who's going to clean that up?
Right.
So I just started thinking, I was like, well, if there was a company that had to clean it up, you'd have to have a captain, a pilot, a demo guy. So I had like 8 guys on the ship that were working on it. And then when I decided to make it a comic book,
Right.
I had to I was like, okay, well, there's no way that I can have 8 people on the ship because I just wouldn't be able to develop all of them.
Sure.
So I started,
Right.
so I gave the ship artificial intelligence. So I was able to get rid of half the crew.
Right.
And then I made it a four-person crew. And it was just finding an artist to try to do it. It took forever. I always tell people that it took 10 years. It took 10 years for me to write that much.
Wow.
For me to write it, to getting it out in print and all that, that took me 10 years. The rest of it took me a lot less.
Yeah.
But it's been fun ever since, it's been kind of like, started off as a hobby and then started gaining some fan base and
Right.
just doing more and more of it. And then then I people started hiring me to do other writing gigs, and now I'm a comic book writer.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like reading new comics, so I definitely know I will be picking these up next week.
Awesome.
And well, I guess I'll wait for the 4th volume, on the 2nd volume to come out, because the 4th one will be.
Yeah.
It's a business card.
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. It's got my email address on it.
Awesome. So here we have the comic books that came out new. As you see, there's this action comic of Superman, but there's 2 different covers. So let me explain that in case, obviously it's self-explanatory and not to try to make you guys feel like little kids that need explaining to them. But here we go. So there's 2 different covers, or there might be 4 to 5 different covers for a comic book. The first cover, normally, we go from left to right. So the first cover, like right here, this Captain America, is the original cover that was originally, made for this comic book. And then you have this second cover, which is a Valiant cover. So there's 2 different covers, so in case that you are a comic book collector, as myself, you'll go to the comic book store, you'll look at them and say, do I want this particular comic book right here, or do I want this particular comic book? Same name, same title, it's going to be the same pictures, same words inside that comic book, but it's just a different look, so that way 20, 30, 40 years in the future, when you go to sell these comic books, you'll be like, well, this is the Valiant cover, and let's just say for some odd reason the original cover is out there, but the Valiant cover is something that probably wasn't out there before. Oh, just want to give the shout out to Invader Zim. What an awesome TV show for Nickelodeon. But back to the subject, there's, right here, for instance, Inhumans, there's 3 comic books up here with the Inhuman title that has the same storyline in it, but there's 3 different covers for it. So it really is just for your preference. You're a comic book collector or going to be a comic book collector. Which cover would you rather see, 20 years in the future, when you go to sell it, or somebody's like, wow, this cover looks awesome, versus the original cover for it, where it's kind of like, this is nice, but the other cover looks amazing. So sometimes the original cover for the comic book, like this right here, is awesome, but the other cover for it wasn't all that great, or vice versa, depending on your preference. So again, these are comic books that I mainly, some of these comic books up here that you see, I read. Some of them I don't. Mainly it's Marvel and DC, a little bit of Image, a little bit of Boom, a little bit of, IDW. And so, there's a few comic books up here that I just don't read. But this one right here, the Justice League versus the Power Rangers, is a great comic book. They're not really done with that series with the whole, thing that has to do with metal, and soon the Doomsday Clock. So once their series is done with the Power Rangers and Justice League, which is only 6 issues, so we got 2 more to go, I'll definitely do an issue of Hop In to let you guys know what's going on in the story, and hopefully you might want to go pick it up. Mr. Miracle is something that they've been advertising inside the DC comic books. So yeah, I haven't got a chance to read it yet, obviously, but when I do, obviously I'll let you guys know. But as far as the other comic books that are up here that I probably haven't mentioned, or they're comic books that I just don't read because they're not really my type of style of comics that I would normally read. But I figured, for those who are planning on going to a comic book store and it'd be their first time in there, obviously the store clerk is definitely going to be willing to help you out, so you can get what you like and what you want, and they're happy because you're buying and you're coming visiting their store, and then you're happy because you got what you came in here for. So there are some comic books that are up here, like the Ninja Turtles. I don't read them, but I am a Ninja Turtles fan. I just don't read the comic books, but you might read Ninja Turtles, or you might read these other titles up here, or something that stands out to you that you actually like and might want to go pick up. So I figured, why not do a weekly pool show on this channel where I show you comic books that I read, but this is mainly for you guys, the viewers, for comic books that I just personally do not read. Like there's a SpongeBob comic book up there. Sometimes he has comic books, for kids up there. Now my daughter's 3. She doesn't read yet. She will be soon, but she doesn't read. I don't buy her these comic books because, like those kid comic books, because she doesn't read them. Now I'll buy it for her and read it to her, but there's just some comic books that I do get, and there's some comic books that I just do not get. As you see, Secret Empire is like there's 4 different cover for it, and those are the covers. Like I said before, there could be up to 5, 6 covers, or mainly 2, but sometimes it goes up higher for different covers for them. So yeah, pretty much Youngblood is an Image comic book that I am reading. But how about we continue on over, and now we'll show you my DC weekly pool. As you see up here, you got the the Superman, you obviously see the Justice League, Mr. Miracle. Then you got the Action Comics. Now DC is originally I wasn't reading DC comic books when I first got into comic books, because I felt as though I know DC, I know Superman, I know his background history, I know Batman, his background history, Flash, I know all of them. So I mainly was getting just Marvel comic books. But when I actually picked up DC's New 52, I was like, wow, there's something I did not know about these characters I thought I knew. Come to find out, a lot of people didn't like them, the different origin stories. So when they did Rebirth, which you see these main titles, it says Rebirth. Now I'm getting to know the characters from the New 52, but also from the new storyline. So here's my DC weekly pool. They're awesome comic books. You should definitely come and check them out. But now here's my Marvel. Well, that one's Image, as I said before, Youngblood. But this is Marvel right here. You got the all-new Wolverine, which is an excellent story run. You feel like you're watching or reading the original Logan Wolverine. You got the Captain America. See, you know, when it comes to comic books, it's like, which one am I planning on selling in the future? So yeah, I could have got that one with just all white with Captain America on it, but I decided to get the one with the Steve Rogers and the Sam Wilson, you know, Captain America. So, you know, when you go to the comic store, obviously, you know, your preference of what you want, but think about, you know, what will stand out to you. What comic book will stand out to you if you were a person buying a comic book 20 years from now? You know, some of them might want the original cover, and for those guys, unfortunately, you can't sell it to them. But the other guys, you probably could. And here, this is just on my Marvel right here with the ending of the Star Wars, Dr. Aphra, and then we got the Rogue One. But yeah. And here, right here, are the back issues, the ones I was telling you about before in the last weekly Kevs Weekly Pool, where this is pretty much all the comic books that came out previous weeks before. Now, they are in alphabetical order. I'm pretty sure any comic book store you go to, they'll be in alphabetical order, just as they are on the new rack. They're in alphabetical order. And they're from the recent to oldest. Sometimes you'll find comic books that have 13 issues, that are 13 issues in, and they only have from issues 13 to about issues 10. But they're missing 9 and 7 and 5. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8 are there, and then you got your 10, 13. So, you know, again, go to the comic book store, you look at the comic books that you might want to read, the back issues, then you obviously ask the store clerk, hey, there's a certain comic book that I'm looking for, do you have it? If not, oh man, but most likely they'll be able to order it for you. So there's the new rack, and then here's the back issues, so of the older comic books. Just to let you know, they're in two different areas, especially if you go to Comic Collections. And then at his store, at Comic Collections on Bustleton, he has like a little kitty section, which is this whole shelf right here. The top, as you saw up there, and then you got the bottom right here. So there's a lot of comic books out here. Hey, that was a great pool, right? Well, I got to meet a new writer. His name is Bob Salley. I'll have all his information for social media in a description box down below. But he said he's been writing for quite a while. And one of the books he was talking to me about that I started recording a little bit late was Salvager. And he said he got it. He was inspired to write it by watching the Death Star blow up and trying to figure out who are the people that's going to clean it. And that's how that comic book came into existence. And also Shelter Division, which I haven't read yet, but I will read. So I'll leave all that in the link in the description below so you can go ahead and follow him. You put your right leg in, you put your right leg out, you put your right leg in, and you shake it all about. You get up, you put in, you turn yourself around and... Oh! Hey, you guys are still here. Thought you would have dipped out way before the end of the video, but hey, you're still here. That's good to know. I hope you guys like this week's of Kev's Weekly Pool. There's a lot of great comic books that came out today, and definitely hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, there's some comic books that I just don't pick up, but I had to make sure you guys see what's on the rack. So hopefully you go to your local comic book store and, I don't know, pick some up. I'd definitely like to know. So please let me know if this video helped you out, or last week's video of Kev's Weekly Pool helped you out, or even some of the other videos that I have of Intune's Hop In issues. So leave it down in the comment section below. Leave this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, because I do like to talk about comic books and also motorcycles. So hey, definitely stay in tune, as I always say. Well, later on this week I should have another video of Hop In. A lot of great content, like I said before, and stay tuned for next week for Kev's Weekly Pool. As always, I've been Kev, you've been you. It's gonna get in there. Yeah, let's stay in tune.